Hello, everybody. This is Nick Datero, Professor of Information Technologies and Computer Science, Lakeland Community College. This is another video in a series of videos concerning string methods. In other videos, we looked at basically converting or changing the string and then using that particular updated string value or whatever was returned to us in some other functions. In this video, we're going to look at some methods that basically provide or return a Boolean operator back to us, either a true or false. So it's basically going to do a condition on that string. So let's go up to my screen and let's take a look at things. Again, in this video, I am using the Google Colab to kind of block out pieces of code. I'm going to start with a series of strings here. And in this one, because I wanted to actually look at a variety of things, I've created several strings. Name has my name in there, title, age, fake social security number, Lakeland ID, that's not my real one, my weight, that is definitely not my real weight. What do we got? A username and department. A little trivia here. If you look at this social security number, 078051120, it was at once upon a time, it was a real social security number. The story goes that there was a wallet manufacturer that was making wallets and they put in fake identification cards in there and they used somebody's real social security number. This would be like 1930s or 1940s when this happened. And this poor woman had her social security number distributed to millions of people. What was interesting was before the days of identity theft, people actually thought that was the real social security number. People were actually paying into that social security number. So if you want to take a look at it, just do a search on social security number. But anyway, sorry for the digression. We're going to look at a series of string methods that return a Boolean value that basically compare or check that string for certain conditions. Now, the first one we're going to look at is isalnum, or alphanumeric number. Now, notice there's a pattern here that these methods are going to start with an is and then kind of explain what that method is. This one is going to return a value of true if the characters in that string are alphanumeric, if they fall in that range of the alphabet and numbers. Well, let's see what happens. Again, if we look at the particular values here, we can do a little bit of guessing and let's run this and see the results that we get. All right, what does it say? It says Nicholas A. Datero returned a false. The value of this string did not have not every one of the characters were alphanumeric. And if you look very subtly right there, you can see that I have a period, I have a punctuation. So this is going to return a false value. Title professor, yep, that's alphanumeric. Age, that's alphanumeric, that's 61. Ooh, social security number, false, because again, you notice the little punctuations, the dashes there. Lakeland ID is true, weight 250.25. That is not a decimal point. That is a period. That is a punctuation. So in this particular case, it's going to return a false. Username, fine, and then department, just fine. Let's go on to another one. Ooh is alpha. And it says this method returns true if all the characters are alphabetic characters ranging between A to Z, upper and lower case. If there's a space, if there's a value in there, it's just not. The first one was alphanumeric. This one is just alpha. So let's run this. And sure enough, the name still is not responding as a alphabetic or alphanumeric because of that period, which tells you if you're beginning to work with data, and this is what this is really about, these string methods is about working with data. We may not want to have punctuations in there, or better yet, we may want to split our full first name, middle name, last name, etc. Keeping your data consistent and not having these particular situations. To me, it looks fine, but to Python, it says, no, you have a period in there, you have a dot in there. That is not an alphabetic thing. Professor is true, age now is false. Social security obviously is false. And look at here, there is no, in this Lakeland ID, it's a fake ID, there's no alphabetic character in there. It's all numbers. Username returns a false. Why does username return a false? Because Part of the username is first initial, last name, and then there's a numeric number there, 37. Well, it's not seeing that 37 as a alphabetic character. And then finally, department is true. If we do a slight comparison between the two, we can see for alphanumeric, where it's both in the alphabet and it's a character and its numeric value, then the username works just fine. You know, this just becomes just fine. But if we look at numeric, no, then it's going to return a false. Again, here's where we begin to really look at our data in much more detail, because as we're using the data, generating information off that data, something as simple as putting a decimal point in there may change your particular outcomes. Ooh, is numeric. What is this one? True if the characters are between 0 and 9. Otherwise, false. Well, let's run this one. Obviously, anything that's going to have an alphabetic character is going to return a false. So my name, professor, age of 61, that's fine. It's saying every value in there. Now, it's not saying it's an integer. It's not saying it's a real. What these methods are doing is they're going through all the characters in that string. 61 is a string. It is not a float. It is not a integer. So it's seeing 61 as characters, and it's saying, yeah, those characters fall into the parameter of being numeric characters, but it is not a number. I can't do addition or subtraction or any kind of math associated with this. I would first have to convert that string 61 into an integer or into a float. Lakeland ID has nothing but numeric characters in there. Weight. That is not a decimal point. 250.25 is not a decimal point. It's not a float value. So obviously, to me, this isn't a number is going to return a false because that dot is not a number. Username false, and obviously department is false. Is lower. Send a true back or return a true value if every character in there is lowercase. Let's see what happens here. Well, obviously my name, returning false, title false, age false, social security false, Lakeland ID false. But looky here, end to 37 does return a true, because what it's looking for is the alphabetic characters returning as lowercase. There's no such thing as a lowercase number. There's no lowercase 1 or lowercase 2. So it's seeing this as, yeah, the alphabetic characters in that string are lowercase, so we're in good shape. And then obviously department returns a false. And if we're going to do lowercase, let's take a look at uppercase. Is upper. Let's see, if all the characters are in the uppercase, otherwise return a false. Well, let's run it. And false, 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 false. Yeah, there is the department. Let's have a little fun here. Let's do this on the fly. Let's change this a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change this department to ITCS, we'll say 1010. Right? Just kind of make something up here. And I want to run this again down here, and let's see what we get. It's still seeing it. Well, I got to run. Forgot to run. I have to run this first. Now let's go back down here and run this again. What happened there is because things are modular, it didn't rerun or reassign those variables. So it never saw me reassign those variables. So I had to rerun that block of code. And there we go again. Yeah, it's not worried about if numbers are uppercase or lowercase or whatever. Let's wrap some things up here. In this video, we looked at methods that did some kind of testing or conditions on a string and returned either a true or a false based upon that given condition. And you can see when we join this with decision making, if statements, iterations, whiles, whatever, you can see where we can add power to this. Are we checking to make sure the data is correct? Are we making sure that it's all uppercase, all lowercase? Is there particular values in there? Is there numeric values? Do we have to convert the numeric value or the strings to a numeric value? So these are just really, to me, interesting methods because they don't really manipulate or convert the string. Like I've said many times in different videos, the string is immutable, right? We know that. You can't change it, but in other methods, we can do something to the string and return that string as a different value. In this one, we're not worried about the actual changing or manipulation of the string. We're concerned with a condition based upon that string. So with that being said, let's go on and learn something.